Hey, good evening, everybody. Great to have you here. Happy Thursday night, pre-Friday. Good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to have everyone here. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Mark. How you guys doing? Good to have you. We're going to get it going. So, welcome back to Thursday night, where tonight democracy and comedy collide like Congress and basic math. So we got a great show tonight. A lot of big headlines, a lot of stuff to cover, and we are going to get after it. So, first of all, after last week, Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air, which means free speech is officially safe again. At least we think so. At least if you measure it in celebrity monologues. Don't get me wrong, Jimmy's all right, but let's be honest, half the jokes that we're seeing on the late night right now have already been told better, faster, and more timely out in TikTok and Instagram and YouTube from all the amateurs. What's going on, Mountain Music? Hey, Jenks, what's going on, man? How you doing? It feels a lot like late night comedy and more like open mic night, just with a bigger budget. So they're, riffing off a lot of things we've already seen. I just think that the YouTubers, TikTokers, and Instagrammers out there are a little bit faster than what we're seeing on late night. But people like Jimmy Kimmel are taking the brunt of the blasting. Hey, Phoenix, how you doing? Great to have you here. Yeah, we've got a great show, like I said. So, and speaking of free speech, everybody says they're for it right up until they hear something that they don't want to hear, right? That they don't like, they don't agree with. Then suddenly, this is dangerous. This has to be banned. We got to do something about this, What they're saying could cause problems. So the real test of free speech isn't protecting what's popular. It's protecting what makes you uncomfortable, okay? If you can't do that, you don't really have free speech. We're going to talk about that a bit tonight as well, too. And in the middle of all the noise, we saw something real this week. At Charlie Kirk's memorial, his widow, Erica, spoke with a grace and composure that reminded all of us of what dignity in public life needs to look like. She didn't lash out. She didn't point fingers. She spoke from the heart. And in that moment, she showed us more strength than most of Washington has shown in years. Real class and real strength. We need more of that, especially in the difficult circumstances, incredibly difficult circumstances that she was under. Imagine if Congress tried that. They'd have to rebrand C-SPAN as like a meditation and mindfulness channel. All right, jokes aside, let me give you guys a snapshot of what we're going to cover tonight. Tonight, here's what's on the table. First, we're going to have a serious look at free speech, the economy, where prices and interest rates are heading, and what it means for all of us. And then we're going to break down Russia, NATO, and why the most dangerous thing isn't missiles flying, it's truth dying. We're going to explore that a little bit. After that, we're going to go deep into disinformation, misinformation, deception, and hoaxes, including why people keep saying, release the files. Where are the Epstein files? We're going to take a little talk about the statue that appeared out in D.C. on the National Mall. Talk a little bit about that. And after that, we're going to talk about autism and the Tylenol controversy and my own personal take on neurodiversity and genius. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about my Ferocious Optimism coaching community, which we do every week. Make sure everybody knows about the opportunity out there for that. And then we're going to get into some life hacks for health, wellness, and your personal finance, okay? And also longevity. We're going to talk about all that stuff. And finally, we're going to close out with our usual leadership lessons of South Park and a little bit of fun covering the latest crazy news and all the weirdest viral stories that I could find this week. So, all right, we got some great analysis, real strategy, and plenty of crazy, absurd things to talk about. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And before we do that, just as a note, too, for anybody who's new here, just so you guys know, what we're doing is we're going to take a look at what's out there in the world and the context we all exist in, okay? And again, my personal mission is to be an inspirational leader to help create positive, lasting change in the lives of others and do that through this channel, through the podcast. And so part of that is how do we confront the realities that we are seeing in our face? And we're going to do it in a funny way and have fun doing it with some satire, with some comedy, with some seriousness as well, too, okay? And then realize what we're facing, what we're up against each and every week, and then figure out how do we deal with it. Thursday night will be more of that. Sundays when I go live at 4 p.m., usually will be more of a deep dive into leadership lessons, life coaching, success strategies, mindset, all those things like that. All right, let's get into this serious news analysis right now with free speech and truth. Okay. Now, as we've seen this week, right, we had over the past couple weeks and really months, some serious challenges to free speech. And everyone claims to defend free speech. Okay, they always do, especially Americans, right? We're big on that. Well, we should be. Until it's speech they don't like. Then it's ban it, cancel it, get rid of it, take it down, okay? If it's a story that in any way touches me, if I'm associated with it, I want it gone, right? But the real crisis isn't the opinions. It's the facts that are being buried, swapped, or weaponized, all right? Free speech without shared reality, that's not democracy. It's a rumor mill with ballots, okay? Let's take a look at this. I think it's very important. Very important that we keep our eyes open for any threats out there to free speech. And lately, more and more, we have it going on as things get more and more intense. So we're going to take a look at this. Bear with me. People are probably still trickling in too. But this for me is really what it's all about. Okay, and this is the basis of where we come from with free speech. I do not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. That's from Voltaire, okay? I know a few of you last week had one or two of you had said, thank you for sharing this as well. But this is what you'll hear a lot of people on the talk shows and things like that talking about, all right? I do not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Okay, and why is this so important? Well, freedom of speech is so important, okay, because freedom of speech is so important for all of us. Okay. Because it allows us to have criticism, okay, and serious, open, honest debate without, canceling someone's ideas. And it speaks truth to power. When you silence people, when you're silencing people, and no one's out there to criticize what people are doing, this is honestly the beginnings of the end of freedom. Let's say that. Okay? I don't want to say it's the beginning of dictatorship or anything else like that, okay? Because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But what I do know is that for sure, when you start taking free speech away, you start silencing critics. I hate to say it, but a lot of times the critics will make you strong. They will. The critics can actually make you strong. Okay? So if you're not ready to face the critics, if we have a society where we can't have open and honest debate and have, comedians making fun of things like that, yes, it's irritating. Yes, it's a lot. Do they see everything? No. But I think that's a very dangerous, slippery slope to go down when we start, hammering away on that twin pincer movement I talked about last week with what Putin had done to control the media, attacking the institutions, attacking the corporations, then attacking the individual presenters themselves and the comedians. Okay, so I think it's a slippery slope and it's a very dangerous place to be. And we have to make sure that we keep, again, as Voltaire said, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. That's truly freedom of speech. All right? And let's take a look at this as well, too. Got another one here for you. Another one right here. And here we go. Again, focusing on where a lot of this came from with Charlie Kirk. Okay? Here he is, practicing debate, being open for criticism, and all these things. Okay? And so why am I bringing him back up again? Because, again, people didn't like what he had to say. And they go so far as to have political assassination over what someone is saying. Now, again, I didn't really know a whole lot about Charlie Kirk. I wasn't like, honestly, like a big fan of his or anything. And I didn't always agree with things I did hear that he said. Okay. But we have political terrorism as well, too. They're taking our rights away. You're actually taking people's rights away for what they want to hear and what's important to them. When someone is silenced through political assassination, through political terrorism, through this silencing of critics. And then on the other side, when we're silencing the comedians, right, that have something to say, again, it's infringing upon our rights. And what happens, though, is this. It starts becoming normalized. When it becomes normalized, it becomes a real problem, okay? And then people just accept it as something that's going to happen, and there's a chilling effect, okay? And the chilling effect is something where you don't even want to attempt to say it because you're worried about a lawsuit, you're worried about getting bullied, you're worried about getting harassed. And so you start to reduce the, population of people that will actually speak up and say things. And that's when it starts getting dangerous, because without people who are actually going to criticize and who are actually going to question and try to bring a counterpoint up, it's just like having a free market economy, like I talked about before in the economy. Competition breeds strength because people have to compete harder and do better. And when we when we silence critics, then you don't have that same effect where people become stronger. Our leaders become stronger. They're more self-aware. They're being held accountable. And it's scary, and we'll talk about it later, but the public trust in the media right now is down so much. And I believe there's a reason for it, though. And we're gonna examine this, okay? This is all going somewhere. I'm taking you on a little journey, and this is all tying together. And I'm going to show you where we're going in a minute, okay? It's a major effect, the chilling effect, that we have to account for when freedom of speech is attacked. The chilling effect, people not being able to criticize what they don't see as right. Okay. And then I think it's just it's a slippery slope from there. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at this next clip. We got a lot happening right now. We got a lot happening. Okay. And one of the things that's happening is that the economy, all right, when you don't have people able to criticize, you're also not going to have people who are criticizing the economy either and what's going on with it, okay? Because I don't know about what all of you think, and I've heard different reports, right, of job numbers, things like that. But one of the things I know is that economy is local. It's what you personally experience that matters, okay? It's what you personally experience that matters. So it's not. That's the thing about the economy, is that people can tell you the stats, they can tell you the probabilities, the figures, all those things like that, but it's what you actually experience. So let's take a look at this right now. All right. Giovanni, what's going on? Mountain Music, what's happening? Phoenix, Frosty, what's happening? Good to have everybody here. All right, let's take a look at this one. Let's take a look at this little video about the economy. And again, it's all tied in together, because when we can't question and we can't make fun of, all right, what we see in one aspect of life in America, then it's going to be hard to, honestly, to question other aspects. Like when people are telling us the economy's great, it's all fixed. Is it really? Is it? Is it fixed? That's interesting, because let's take a look at this little video right here and see what this one says. They might have something else to say.
Nearly 500,000 people in the U.S. living in RVs full time.
I sometimes thought, man, if I could have saved more money in the past, but what it was is I don't blame myself either, because I raised 4 kids with no child support.
Despite the tight quarters, plenty of room to build a community that matters.
All right, so in this video I'm showing you guys right here, 500,000 people right now in the U.S. are choosing to live in RVs because it's cheaper. For a lot of people, housing is out of reach, okay? Expenses are up. Cost of living is up. I don't make this stuff up, right? Like, you guys know me. I'm politically independent. I'm not here to promote one side or the other. But as I do my research for things to present to the show, I don't have any particular direction I'm going with it. But, I don't have any particular direction I'm going with it, right? But as I do the research, I find these things out. So this is the thing. Prices are pretty sticky right now. Interest rates are still pretty brutal, all right? And everybody's waiting for relief. The Fed says inflation is cooling. They even cut rates last week. I know some people missed it. I've heard that. But if you bought groceries lately, you bought anything lately, okay, you know the truth. Your cart's a little lighter, the price is a little higher, your bill's heavier. Housing, we just saw that. Some people are choosing to live in an RV, okay? That's their choice, or is it? Okay, there's a man before in the video, I'm not showing the whole thing right now, who that's the best option he has right now because the payments are too much even for an apartment. All right? And these are people who work their whole lives. They work their whole lives. I mean, at this point, mortgages are becoming like a luxury good, if you can believe that. And the average American isn't asking, are we in a recession? They're asking, why is my Starbucks and why is my Starbucks so expensive, so much more expensive? And then why are my grocery bill, as much as a car payment? Why? Right? Okay. And like I had last week, before we blame Biden, now we're going to blame Trump. But what's really going on? As Jack Mallard said last week, the Bitcoin investor I put on here, is it? Whose fault really is it? Is it the left? Is it the right? Whose fault really is it? Well, let's see. There's a lot going on. We talked about some of that last week, but let's face facts head on. One of the things that's so important, I think, for making a breakthrough, changing your life, making life better, is facing the facts, okay? See things as they are and not worse they are, and then form a strategy to deal with it, right? Take it head on. Let's take a look at this next video right now. I think this will help to paint a little bit of a picture as well. Okay. And I've got like 50 tabs open. But, all right, let's see here.
Income is fine, but it's, the CEO of McDonald's, Chris Kempinski, is warning of a two-tiered economy as the fast food giant brings about its extra value meals this week, trying to attract budget-conscious customers. He says that middle and lower income consumers aren't loving it. They're under a lot of pressure right now. Traffic is down double digits, and many are skipping meals or only eating at home. But it's the opposite story for the upper class, snooty snoots. They're feeling good and splurging on luxury items and travel. Rick Reeder, the head of fixed income at BlackRock, made this point a week or so ago. He said that it's the lower income who are interest rate sensitive because the Federal Reserve have not cut interest rates, who are really struggling. The high income is fine, but it's, older.
All right. A little point there. Okay. So again, the thing about the economy is that the economy's felt at a very local level, right? It's not something where, someone can tell you the economy's better and we're all going to fall in line and believe it. The thing about market forces and about the economy is that the vibe that you feel and that we feel, pay attention to that because that's real. All right. Now, if you go off on a spending spree and you just go nuts, that's one thing. But if you're just living day to day and you're keeping track of your budget and you're noticing things are more expensive, or you might notice the price of eggs. Like I said last week, you have to have a cosigner to buy eggs, right? And you're noticing that your cart's a little less, bill's heavier, bill's bigger. You're right. Okay. You're right about that. Your observation is not wrong. And let's check this out. Okay. A little more evidence piling up. And again, evidence does not equal proof, but what you're experiencing is real. It's not fake. That's what I'm here to tell you. I'm not going to doubt what you're feeling. And if you're not feeling it, then that's fine too. Let's check it out.
Anybody but Donald Trump's fault?
No, but let me get to the revisions, because it's a reminder that when it comes to the economy, the public's perception is more likely to be the reality than any statistic. And I say this because remember the debate about vibes? Turns out the vibes were right about this, okay? Because what people were feeling about the economy, and you hear these Biden surrogates say, but look at the data, and you're like, yeah, but people get it. And that's the other, so which fast forward to today.
Adrienne had to deal with this.
Of course she did.
And I said a lot of that too.
Yes. But it was, don't ignore the feelings. And the fact is, regardless of when this slowdown began, it is now on his watch. And
Okay. So again, I think that's the big thing, just to be aware that, if you're feeling that, if you're feeling like it's getting harder, it's more difficult, there are a lot of people that agree with you, okay? And that this is a real thing. And it's very local at your level. And depending on what you're, how you're doing right now, what your income is, what your expenses are, what your situation is, all those things like that. But if you're feeling that, that's because by a lot of accounts, it definitely is. I mean, we got the CEO of JP Morgan saying it, the CEO of McDonald's saying it, so on and so forth. So again, we form a battle strategy. So what, Ben? So what? Are we just going to be here and complaining? No, we're not here just to complain, okay? We're going to form a battle strategy. How do we deal with it? That's going to be tonight. We're going to talk about it, get the context, and see what's happening. What is the problem? What are we encountering, right? And then on Sundays, usually we're going to really deep dive into solutions and habits and developing, a plan of action and how to get through it. And even we're going to have a segment tonight on your survival strategy, your survival plan, tactics for health and fitness, and also for personal finance. So we're going to deal with some of those things, but not before we have some fun and not before we cover some more stories here as well too, okay? This one definitely with the economy, not as much fun. This is facing reality, but I think it's good we get a pulse check in with each other and a place you can chat. And again, put your questions in the chat. I will hit them up and I will get to them in between segments. And so please, if you're whatever questions you have or anything like that, throw it in there and I'll get to it for sure. Okay. But that's what's happening right now in the economy. And, it's definitely concerning. It's definitely a concerning thing, but you have to prepare for it. You have to realize where we're at. Okay. Next topic here. We're going to talk about Russia and NATO and what's happening with World War III, as we always talk about. Again, I think it's one of the most important topics we can cover is just seeing exactly what's happening with Vladimir Putin's saber rattling and, NATO hardening its posture right now. We've got all kinds of airspace incursions happening in Estonia, right? Most recently, Denmark today, there were drone incursions that actually shut down their airport. So they're getting bolder. Russia and Putin are getting bolder and bolder and bolder. But I will tell you, if any of you guys had seen what happened on the UN, if not, we're going to cover it here a bit too. Definitely the posture has changed on the part of the Trump administration. And so that has been emboldening Ukraine as well too. So let's check out this video really fast and we will see what is going on out there. But definitely there are some things happening for sure. Okay.
Global attention. The United States and Russia, two of the world's most powerful nations and key players in the war over Ukraine, came face to face. On one side sat US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Across from him was Russia's veteran Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The encounter came just a day after President Donald Trump announced a stunning reversal in his policy, declaring that Ukraine had Washington's full support in reclaiming all of its territory seized by Moscow and hinting that Kyiv could even push beyond those borders if necessary. This dramatic shift altered the entire backdrop of the meeting. For months.
All right, so this is a huge shift. This is a huge difference, right? For the longest time, what we had going on was, you all saw it. President Trump wasn't really taking Vladimir Putin and Russia to task. He was trying to use his relationship to reverse course and get things to change. Okay. But this wasn't working, as we all saw. We saw eventually he comes to say he's very disappointed. You know, he's very disappointed in Vladimir Putin. Okay. And he thought he was going to be able to get it done. Thought he was going to be able to get it done. And he says that. He says as much right here. Okay. He talks about thinking he's going to be able to get it done with Vladimir Putin through their relationship. But come to find out, he was wrong, and he was getting strung along just like Zelensky had told him and many people had told him. Okay. So a couple of things there, right? A couple of things there. And we'll cover that after this video. But was that a bit of statescraft? Was that a bit of him being the deal maker and giving things a chance before he drops the hammer? Probably. Okay. And you have to give, as they say, give peace a chance and give sanity a chance. But so we saw President Trump there talking about Putin and about Russia being a paper tiger. Okay. He got a pretty hard backlash over that from Russia, if anybody had seen that. But really, they came back saying Russia's no paper tiger. Russia is a bear. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, we shall see, right? But we need to think about this for a minute. Everybody needs to think about this. Russia lost 1 million people in this war with Ukraine. I think Ukraine lost a few 100,000. This is crazy. It's the biggest war that's happened since World War II. And I don't think we here in the United States or Western countries in Europe probably realize it a lot more. I know I have some people from Europe here. All right. Hey, Jasmine, how you doing? And so, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Think about this. 1 million soldiers killed since this war started. 1 million. And he's buzzing the airspace of NATO. Okay? It's just nuts. And you guys have seen my deep dives into Putin. You saw it last Sunday. If you haven't seen it yet, guys, go to my videos, go to my lives. In the lives, you'll see cray, right? That's the title. Crazy. Putin's crazy World War III gamble. Okay? You're going to learn all about how cray he is in that video. But I'll just quickly snapshot. He's 71. He's been in power for 24 years. He can't quit. This is it. He either wins or he dies, in my opinion. Because if he doesn't, he's losing respect and power, and people aren't going to fear him as much. If you saw today, I didn't have time today to edit in here, the war has come to Moscow. Today, there were drone strikes all over Moscow. Ukraine's fighting back. They're using U.S. missiles, have launched into Moscow, deep into Russia from U.S. weapons, okay? And Moscow was in darkness. And then they played it off in a press conference saying, oh, the terrorist attacks by Ukraine, they call them terrorist attacks. We have stopped them. And then, you saw the president of Finland gave his blistering speech in NATO, and he was saying Donetsk, Crimea, all these places in eastern Ukraine that are held by Russia are Ukrainian. He was saying this is wrong. So there is an effect, okay? Something happened today as well, too. I'm going to show it to you guys. But the war is coming to Moscow. This is my opinion, and this is my prediction. Putin can't stop, and either President Trump can get him to go to the peace table and stabilize things, or there's going to be World War III, okay? Because he can't stop. He'll be killed and he'll be destroyed. The oligarchs there will kill him. The army will kill him. There will be a coup, probably a military coup. They tried to have one before. The Wagner group tried to overthrow him, and he had them killed. They came in and had a meeting on the way home. They shot down their plane and killed the leaders of the Wagner group. And that was that. Okay, that's how he rolls. Poisoning people, murdering them, all the stuff I covered. Check it out. The deep dive I did on Putin. And these Thursday lives I covered as well. But on Sunday, we went live and we talked about it for a while. All right, so let's watch this next video. And we're going to hear some more about this reversal of U.S. policy on Ukraine and the effect that it is having and just what is going on with it. Let me check this out. Okay. Then Marco Rubio also as well too in the UN basically said President Trump, and actually I'm going to find that really fast, guys. I'm going to find this one. I'm going to put it on for you because I think this is a good one for us to look at. So give me 1 second, but I'm going to give you a snapshot because actually I thought I had it here, but my Kung Fu was not strong enough and I don't have it here. Okay. So I'm going to find this one really fast, but to snapshot for everybody is that the snapshot is that Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, basically said that, President Trump is, he's a patient man. I don't know how he says that. That's not really true. He's patient with this process, but his patience is wearing thin. Okay. That's what he basically told him. And so let's check this out because this is the clip I really wanted to show to you. Okay. I think this is the spot. We're going to go ahead and we have found it and we're going to do it now. Check this out because I think it's worth seeing for everybody. All right. Again, context building, seeing what's going on in the world. Again, if we're going to make a positive, lasting change in our life, we have to see what's going on. Okay. You got to tell it like it is. See the world as it is. See your current situation. That's why we talked about the economy. We're talking about free speech. We're talking about what could impact you as well, too, as a major war. Okay. Because it could impact the markets. Even if you don't personally go to war, it will definitely impact us at home if we have this type of big war going on. So you have an informed voice, you learn what's happening, and you also learn not to fear it because you know the facts. You don't hear a craziness from anybody else. All right. I'm going to tell it like it is, best of my ability. Okay. So let's see. Here we go. This is the one. Let's check it out.
Space by both drones and airplanes. The president is a very patient man. He's very committed to peace, but
like I said, I don't know if he's very patient. Just say it. I can't help myself. All right, let's go.
Drones and airplanes. The president is a very patient man. He's very committed to peace, but his patience is not infinite. And as he has said repeatedly, he has before him the opportunity and the options of imposing additional economic costs on the Russian Federation if necessary in order to bring this to an end. He also has before him the option, as he has already chosen to do in some circumstances, to sell defensive weaponry and potentially offensive weaponry so that Ukraine can defend itself from this assault by purchasing that weaponry. So I'm here to say to the Security Council, the United States remains as committed as it has ever been to a peaceful resolution to this dangerous conflict. But there will come a moment in which we will have to conclude that perhaps there is no interest in a peaceful resolution. And then the president has before him real options, which he intends to pursue, as he has made clear today in some of the messages he has put out. So I strongly urge the Security Council, the member states here, and those who are not part of this as well, to do everything in their power, and including the Russian Federation, to do everything within their power, and the Ukrainian side for that matter as well, but all sides, to bring this war to an end before it becomes something that will last another 3 or 4 years, lead to more destruction, both economic and at the same time and loss of life and loss of property and loss of futures. This war needs to end. But if it does not, if there is no path to peace in the short term, then the United States and President Donald J. Trump will take the steps necessary to impose costs for continued aggression.
It's almost like he's telling him, he's like, look, good cop, bad cop, right? Look, I'm going to try and do this the peaceful way here. But you don't want him coming. You don't want my boss to come in here and you want to listen to the voice of reason. Listen to what I'm saying, because you heard that there. He's got other options he can exercise. All right. I mean, make no mistake. The United States military is very, very powerful. Right. And it's a good stance. It's the way to go. It is the way to be because of what Russia's been doing with the violation of airspace of NATO allies. And as many retired generals have been on TV, you've seen them. Many people that are involved in statecraft that know their stuff and strategy are saying, right, that these are acts of war. These are armed drones, armed fighter jets now going to Estonia airspace, the incursions into Denmark that shut down an airport in Denmark. Okay. So Ukraine hammered Russia today to where one of their airports could even function. Passenger airplanes were drifting around Moscow, flying around low on fuel. Scary stuff. Okay. But this was an appropriate response, I thought, by Marco Rubio and by President Trump. And so now with the big backing of the U.S., things are starting to change. Things are starting to change a little bit. Ukraine is realizing, President Trump said, I think you can take back all that land you lost, actually. Before, as I said, the peace proposal before was stop where we are, let's have a ceasefire, and maybe we consider Russia keeping what they gained, right? That was it. But Putin didn't want to come to the peace table, and so now things are changing to where Trump's saying, yeah, I think you can win. And matter of fact, I think you can take everything back. And so what are they doing? Let's check it out. Let's see what happened today. Let's see what happened on the battlefield today in Ukraine. Because why? Because Ben is researching deep stuff for you guys. Okay? I'm doing the deep research over here, so you don't have to. You show up, you can learn everything going on right here on Thursday night with me. And let's check this out. This is a good one.
There is interesting news from the Pokrovsk direction. Here, Ukrainian forces are pressing hard. There is interesting news from the Pokrovsk.
Take a look at what he's talking about. See, that's the area under they're going to examine. Because if you miss this little part right here, you miss where he's talking about in Ukraine. When I first watched it, I was lost in the sauce. I had to rewind, okay? So let's just get oriented. That's the map of Ukraine. That's the area he's talking about. Let's go.
Direction. Here, Ukrainian forces are pressing hard in the Dobropila sector, carving up Russian lines and closing the gates behind the now isolated groups. With hundreds of Ukrainian drones in the air, a third pocket of Russian forces has formed, larger than the other two combined, and time is running out for the Russian soldiers still trapped inside. Ukraine's troops have started advancing southward, pushing the Russians back and retaking key ground in and around Pankivka. This advance was made possible due to the intensive work of Ukrainian drone operators working around the clock to spot and destroy every movement of the Russians. As a result, Ukrainian ground forces were able to push forward, and the 1st Azov Corps confirmed that Ukrainian units had fully cleared Pankivka. Russia tried to counter this by rushing in 4 infantry units and a marine regiment, but Ukrainian tactics of striking reinforcements on the move are blunting every effort. Combat footage shows how successful Ukrainian drone strikes hunt down Russian soldiers.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. All right, let's get into this. So here's the thing. So as a military professional myself, all right, I served in the infantry for a long time, learned conventional tactics, and also obviously a special operator and special operations officer, Marine Raider officer, all those things like that, commanded at multiple levels. So here's the thing. When you have dominance of the skies through the drones, I don't care. And honestly, I mean, everything's contested. The Russian aircraft are contested because of the Ukrainian drones. How terrifying is that? Hundreds of drones loitering in the air. These are all either kamikaze drones, or they bomb, they drop grenades, they do all kinds of stuff, okay? And then on top of that, you have Ukrainian infantry moving into position, Ukrainian artillery, Ukrainian aircraft, all these things like that, all coming into play. And one of the hardest things, hey, Daryl, what's going on, man? And so one of the hardest things is when you're on the move to reinforce, you see they're getting attacked. It's one of their tactics to attack the Russian reinforcements that are on the move, right? And so this is very difficult because the Russians are known to go in a column. They stack their trucks or their troop transports in a column because they have heavily wooded areas. And so because they're in a column, they're easy to attack, very hard to defend, and they're being ambushed by the drones, okay? And then on top of that, they're probably spotting, because some of the things we would do is we'd have a spotter aircraft. Like let's say we have a helicopter and you have called a forward air controller airborne. And so someone's flying up there and they're observing targets, and then the fast mover jets are coming in, dropping bombs, while the forward air controller airborne, the FAC-A, we'd call them, or JTAC-A, whatever you want to say, is up there to direct the fires, okay? Observed fires. Now, the aircraft don't always need that, but it's really, really powerful when you have, a a forward air controller airborne because they're troops on the ground to make sure the forward line of troops, the FLOT, as they say, is not getting jeopardized by the air operations. Okay. So it's the same thing like with the drone. The drone being up in air can spot everything the Russians are doing. Direct in more drones. It can fly an aircraft. It can bring the infantry. It can bring artillery. It can do all kinds of stuff. Okay. So this is a really, really tough place for Russia to be right now. And, and again, Phoenix, I saw you said he lost me a patient man. Yeah. And so I think, I think it's a really big turning point when you have, and this is what I want to say, leadership, right? Leadership study. When you give someone the backing and you show them that you got their back, they can really do so much more. And you see, like with Ukraine now, with the resources of the United States, the resources of President Trump saying, yeah, I think you can go ahead and do that. He's approving them to go balls to the wall, meaning, yeah, we're going to commit more money, more resources to you without having to say it. He's saying it. And so Ukraine's pushing, and by the accounts we're seeing, they're starting to win. Did you see? I just showed you a ground assault, a ground attack. They took back 330 kilometers, I think today or yesterday, after the announcements by President Trump, by Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Rubio, and by, everyone else on there. Okay. I think the Walls now is the ambassador to the UN, and what he said too. Okay. And then Zelensky going to the UN at the same time and hammering away on Russia. You see now Ukraine making advances and being more bold, being much bolder. Okay, because before they had to say, I don't know if we're going to get support. We got to hold what we got. We got to keep our resources, keep our powder dry. All right. But instead now what you're having, hey, thanks, man. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. And so yeah. So I mean, they're able to now to launch out because they know they're going to get replenished. They know they're going to get reinforced. And the thing is, the European partners, President Zelensky said earlier, is that the European partners are really helping them a lot. They're helping them a lot. They're good partners, but it's not the same as the United States, right? It's just not the same. The advanced weaponry that now we're saying we're going to sell them, not just defensive weapons, but now we might sell them advanced weapons, for offensive weapons, President Trump said. And the same thing J.D. Vance said too, Vice President, all right? So all these things coming to bear, and what do you see? Ukraine being bold, taking the fight to Russia, all right? Again, a couple things. This is going to weaken Putin's position. And I could ask, is it? Yeah, it is. Anybody who says it's not is wrong. But the thing is this. When an animal is cornered and it's wounded, when is it most dangerous? When it's cornered and it's wounded. So this is a scary time. This is not an easy time. It's not a time to be celebrating. It's a time, honestly, for negotiation. And there's a thing that Marco Rubio said as well, too. He said, this war will not end on the battlefield. This war will end in negotiation, at the negotiating table. Okay? So that's where we're at with all this. A lot happening there. Let me just make sure I don't have anything else to show you guys on this, but I wanted to give you a no-kidding update on what's happening there. All right? But I do want to say, I need to say this as well, too. Okay? That the thing is this, the modern battlefield is not just missiles and tanks. It's cyber warfare, propaganda, disinformation, all these things. And the scariest weapon isn't the one you see. It's the lie you can't disprove. Okay? Now, Russia, they are masters of this. They've been masters for a long time. Okay? And they keep threatening nuclear war, all these different things like that. And President Trump has also talked about that too, moving ballistic missile submarines into place for that. But today or yesterday, Lockheed Martin had a little news themselves, all right, to kind of just counterpoint the disinformation out there that they had, that the U.S. couldn't hang with some of the advanced weaponry that Russia has and all these things like that. Okay, there's a lot of crazy disinformation happening. So let's check out what Lockheed Martin decided to release today. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but this new killer stealth drone that's pretty damn incredible. Just kind of an, oh, by the way, oh, by the way, if you want to get froggy, we've been authorized to release this, okay? Check this out. This is from the legendary skunk works of Lockheed Martin that produced all the stealth fighters and everything else. Let's see this. This stealth combat drone designed to hunt, spy, and attack using AI. Advanced combat drone. Funded entirely in-house and yet to fly. Potential game changer. It's a heavyweight drone. It's going to pair with like the F-35 and another. It's going to have like swarming. Okay, so the thing about this is that this is going to be, paired. They're going to have teams flying with combat aircraft, with manned aircraft that are going to use these as like it's the, a pilot that's in command of a fleet of drones as well, with his aircraft being the command and control center of the drones. But with AI these days, they don't need much command and control, really. Okay, that's the difference. And this is definitely a game changer. So if we're thinking about doing a no-fly zone, do you think these will come into play? Yes, it would absolutely shut down Russian air dominance over Ukraine. And I don't even know if they have it anymore, frankly, with the Ukrainian drones alone. But this is definitely a potential game changer. Okay. And as I was saying, but it's not just missile and tanks, it's propaganda, disinformation, and lies that we have to worry about. It's the lie you can't disprove. And as I've said before, it isn't the missiles flying that's the most dangerous thing here. Okay. It's the truth dying. I'm saying this overall. Yes, the war is dangerous. Yes, NATO war would be horrific. World War III. But what's seeping into our country and into our society is the truth dying. We talked about this before. Because if we can't agree on what's real, free speech becomes weaponized and societies collapse from within. Okay, that's the most dangerous thing. So we're going to talk a little bit now about disinformation, deception, and hoaxes. And yes, a little bit about the Epstein files too. Okay, but before we do that, I want to talk to you guys about an interview that went on with a KGB defector a number of years ago, which is proving true today, okay? Which is proving true right now. We're going to check this out, all right? And I'll get to your questions after this segment. But this is an important article to see. And you guys think, is he right with what I'm showing you? Let's take a look here. Okay. 39 years ago, a KGB defector chillingly predicted modern America. A disturbing interview given by a KGB defector in 1984 describes America of today and outlines 4 stages of mass brainwashing used by the KGB. A former KGB agent named Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenev claimed in 1984 that Russia has a long-term goal of ideologically subverting the U.S. Now, there were asymmetric and gray zone operations books written by Soviet generals, okay, Russian generals, and also Chinese generals too, on how do you overcome the United States. And the number one thing, first of all, was disruption, okay, disinformation, disruption, and ideologically subverting the U.S. You have to do that first, okay? This is the demoralization campaign. This former KGB agent described the process as a great brainwashing that has 4 basic stages. The first stage, he said, is called demoralization, which would take about 20 years to achieve. Now, as we talked about before, Big Brother Putin over there is former KGB. And as I said on Sunday, has the KGB ever left him? No, there's no way. No, it has not. He knew about this program. Do you think he wasn't trying to just carry on the program? Of course he was. Of course he is. Of course. How many non-official cover spies have we caught? Spy rings, not Soviet, but Russian spy rings in the United States have we caught over the years? Hundreds, so many, okay? And not just in DC, in New York, and San Francisco, and Los Angeles, you name it, everywhere, okay? And what are they doing? Trying to subvert the elections, trying to do different things, right? Like all these things that have come up, proven, disproven. but they're trying to destabilize the country. How do they do that first? Okay. Without me reading the entire thing for you guys, but based on my knowledge I know about, the first thing is getting people to no longer believe, all right? Getting people to no longer believe in the public institutions of the United States. Getting people to no longer believe in the government. Getting people to no longer believe in the media. Nobody believes in the media anymore, okay? Nobody believes in the media, all right? That's a big thing. And this is an accomplishment for the KGB and for the Russian apparatus. The thing is, people don't realize, they think the KGB is mainly focused on spying, but it wasn't. This KGB defector revealed that it wasn't. The main thing it was focused on was ideological subversion of target countries for the Soviet Union, for the former Soviet Union. That was the goal, destabilize it, okay? After they destabilized it, they tried to usher in some type of crisis, all right? Demoralization. People no longer believe in the public institutions. They no longer do that. Are we there right now? Well, here it is. Federal government, figures on trust. Federal government, 22%. 22% of people believe in the federal government, and they trust it. Congress, 10%. This is recent, okay? This is a recent facts and figures search that I did, okay? These are either figures from 2024 or 2025. Some are Gallup poll figures. Trust in Congress, 10%. Trust in the media, 31%. It's a 5-year low, okay? There's very high trust and confidence in the military and also in small business. That's where people put their trust right now, okay? So we're already doing, in my opinion, the disinformation for Russia. We're doing it for them right now. So a lot of the things that we're doing, and I say we're doing it, okay? The political parties are doing it. A lot of these things we see in social media, the conspiracy theories, all these things like that, that's doing it as well too. Or was it started by Russian agents starting conspiracy theories? All these things. But I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't help when we're not transparent. When we don't have transparency, you said you're going to do something and you don't do it, you don't have transparency, okay? Things start getting interesting, okay? And I'm going to share another little video with you guys right now. Gets more to the point on what's causing public trust to erode in the government, okay? And a lot of people out there are thinking that there are hoaxes and there's disinformation and distractions and having us not see what's really going on. It's like a bait and switch, okay? So here's the angle. So whenever there's a sensational story, many people, the public immediately asks, okay, I see that. And then, but where are the Epstein files? Or where's this? Where's that? Right? The fact is that they're not wrong, but this has become such a trend to think that anything happening is fake. Okay, here are a few things I've heard. UAPs are fake. Where are the Epstein files? I just had a comment on one of my posts the other day saying the Trump assassination was a hoax. It was fake to distract us from what's going on. Where are the Epstein files? Okay. I don't believe that. All right. Now I do want to see the Epstein files because it was promised, but I'm saying that people take it to extremes. Even so much as people thinking all the pomp and circumstance and pageantry that went on with, the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, okay, and the memorial for him, everyone agreed. It's tragic. It's horrible. There's no excuse for political violence, except for the few psychos saying what they said, who were celebrating, those nut jobs and weirdos who we all can't stand, okay, who we denounce, which is terrible. But then people afterwards are saying, okay, I understand we did that. There's the memorial. We took care of it. That's awful. Now, where are the Epstein files? Okay. And so again, getting back to my point about the destabilization and demoralization program of the KGB, we're kind of doing that when we don't have transparency, the right amount of transparency. We're saying we're being transparent about the process and about what's going on. And when we promise we're going to do something, We got to keep the promises to the American people as well, too. Okay. Even the UAPs and UFOs, as much fun as I have, you guys know you're following on here and you're watching, as much fun as I have with that. All right. People believe that it's a hoax to cover things up and to distract us from what's going on. It's to distract us from, free speech being taken away, things like that. Okay. So I'm just bringing up the counterpoint to take a look at, and you have to think for yourself about that. Okay. So people are asking, where are these files? Yes, I understand that. This is terrible. It's horrible. Let's play a little clip here. It's almost if on cue. Yeah, almost as if on cue, this happened.
In D.C., take a look. A statue of President Trump has appeared on the National Mall. It depicts Trump holding hands with Jeffrey Epstein. A plaque reads, "In honor of Friendship Month, we celebrate the long-lasting bond between President Donald J. Trump and his closest friend, Jeffrey Epstein." Now, authorities have not said who put this statue there. Trump has repeatedly tried to distance himself from Epstein after a birthday letter bearing his signature surfaced. President Trump has denied writing that letter.
Okay. So, no matter what, hold on one second, shut that down. So that popped up almost on cue, right? Almost on command. This thing pops up out of nowhere. All right. Pretty crazy. I can't imagine what the president was feeling about that at the time, or even if he knew about it. But again, losing public trust in the institutions, in our government, in our leaders, right? Could that have even been like a Russian plan? Sure, possibly, 100%, okay? And so now you have this swirl occurring where you have people believing that there's cover-up, over hoax, over deception. Have we hit that point of the demoralization? Have we hit that? Or did that happen a few years ago? Is it still continuing on? Okay? It is interesting. It is interesting, right? Okay? And so all these things like that, right? Is this, but we have such a lack of trust. We have such a lack of trust in our institutions and our leaders. Okay. But again, it could all go away very quickly if we simply do what we said we're going to do. And we go ahead and present the Epstein files. That would silence a lot of critics. It would probably restore a lot of public confidence in a lot of things too. Okay. And also we got to stop, attacking freedom of speech and all that. That's not helping either. Okay. And I know fully well some people were very happy that Jimmy Kimmel got shut down because they don't like him. But again, as I put that quote up from Voltaire, I may not agree with what you said, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Okay? These are principles our country was founded on. I think it's very, very important. Even Joe Rogan went out and was basically very upset and saying, this is crazy. We can't do that. We can't have this where we're attacking free speech of comedians. Okay? Let's take a look at this. Someone else thinks we should be releasing the Epstein files. Someone else thinks so.
Release the list. Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Okay, so there's JD Vance himself saying we need to release the list. But do you see why people are upset? I mean, I don't need to tell you guys. This is preaching to the choir, okay? This is preaching to the choir. But do you see why people are upset? Because they've been saying it the whole time. They campaigned on it. And then they got the list, and they probably thought, okay, whoa, now we see all this stuff on here, okay? Personally, do I think that President Trump is in there? I don't know. I think there are a lot of people in there that probably surprise people and think there's a lot of stuff that maybe they don't want to release. That's what I think. Something's happening. Something's happening where they don't want it released to the broad public, okay? And then, the thing is, to me, we have so many conspiracies out there and so much like analysis on, on the Charlie Kirk assassination, okay? And what happened here, what happened there, how was he killed, all things like that. And again, but from the main point right here, people ask again, where are the Epstein files? They have them. They're under a vault. They're locked up. Why aren't they releasing them? Okay? So there's a lot. Yeah, I agree with you. Time to unify and get serious, 100%. Okay? Yep, that's it. That's it. Infighting while the wolves are circling the camp. That's it. Is tantamount to suicide. I agree. And that's a great point, Eric. Because guess who loves this? Guess who loves all this bullshit? Putin's loving it. Putin's loving it. Because they're going to, you know what's going to happen? They're going to whoop up more stuff at home. Okay. And I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist acting like it's all Russian agents. Okay. Do I think it's some Russian agents? For sure. For sure. I think there is some of that. Okay. And I think they're only getting started. If we actually are going to be engaging in, I'm not going to say engaging in war, but if we're going to try and stop them from doing what they want to do, they will try to make a mess here for us at home. And we won't even realize it's them. They will pit left against right, pit, brother against sister, American against American, and they'll make it very unstable, very demoralized. And then part of the plan is, what the KGB guy said, is you have to usher in a crisis. You usher in a crisis, okay, with a new ideology already having been presented to the people, and then it's easier to subvert them and manipulate them, okay, because you've already proven that they can't trust the institutions, and so you have to trust this new way of doing things, which is against your own best interest. This is what they do, all right? So again, a lot could be rebuilt and done better if we just are more transparent and we do what we say we're going to do, okay? And maybe it's not as easy as I'm thinking, but I think it is pretty easy. I think it is. Okay, and why? So why do people having such a big reaction? Because the coverage, the ceremonies, the days of media, the wall-to-wall, nonstop media coverage of some of these big events, okay? Some of it feels like theater. Some of it feels like theater and distraction. That's why people are saying this. That's why, again, remember I talked about media rage and I talked about, rage baiting? Part of that's to make you watch more. Part of it's for ratings. Part of it's to make you watch more. But part of it may be deception. This is what some people are saying. This is what some people are thinking. Okay? And again, at risk of me sounding like a conspiracy theorist, I'm not giving you a conspiracy. I'm picking up the events that are happening and I'm rotating them around and I'm looking at them. All right? That possibly it is a distraction. That is possible. Okay? And then right on cue, like I said, the colored statue, the statue of Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, appears in the National Mall in D.C. Again, had we released the Epstein files in August, you're not going to have this intensifying, right? More distrust, more wondering, more. You're not going to have me on here talking about it, right? Okay, is it protest art? Maybe, but notice how quickly it was removed. They had a permit. They had a permit for it to be there till Sunday. Okay? So protest art, maybe. Distraction, maybe. Either way, it pours gasoline on the suspicion. Okay? People think, wow, we're watching pageantry and spectacle on TV, whatever that may be. Okay? And this past week, it was all the memorials and all these things. Rightfully so. Rightfully so, because that was disgusting, horrible what happened. But at the same time, people are thinking, yeah, this is all going on. And while the files still sit in a vault, right? And 50% of the country is just thinking that. Literally 50% of the country is thinking, where are the files? And then maybe even more than that, even people that were involved in the pageantry and spectacle, we're thinking that too. Okay? So how do we respond? What should we do? I mean, I think in life, when you feel like you're getting gaslit, that's a popular term, right? When you feel like you're trying to be distracted or fooled, demand documents, okay? And documents is a metaphor for me. Sometimes you have to actually get real documents. Demand evidence, demand proof, not distractions. Logs, memos, receipts. This goes for your personal life too, okay? Because again, this channel is all about upgrading your life. The point of the channel is to make your life better, upgrade your life. But demand logs, memos, receipts. Not just ceremonies, not just statues, not just bigger stories, not just, more spectacle. More things that are too important right now. We can't deal with it. This is more important than that. Okay. Again, we're doing the KGB's job for them. Distrust, disinformation, destabilization, not believing in the institutions and the media and our leaders. We're doing their job for them. Takes a little transparency. That's what it takes. And don't confuse mourning in this case, and don't confuse big pageantry, big spectacle, with political theater. That's what I'm saying. On one hand, it's human, right? We have to deal with these things. And it's leadership too, to deal with the problems and to grieve the loss of someone that's gone. But the other side is strategic. Okay? If you ever feel like they're really trying to pump it up in some case, whatever the event is, whether it's war or it's crime or it's this or it's that, while there's some hanging chat out there and some lingering thing they're not bringing up, trust your gut on that. Trust your gut, because you're probably right. None of you are stupid. Everybody's smart. Okay? You all have a good head on your shoulders. Stay skeptical, but stay anchored in the facts. Okay? Don't veer off into conspiracy, okay? And I don't believe in that either. The conspiracies of this, that, the other thing, so many. I'm saying consider the possibilities, okay? And just be aware that right now you are being distracted from something that's very important that's not being brought to light, okay? But this can apply to your own personal life too. This can apply to your own personal deals. This can apply to somebody lying right to your face. Meanwhile, you're like, where did the money go? Just as an example in your life. Where were you last night? We're being distracted right now, or are you getting in a fight with me or blaming me? Okay. Remember what the old playbook is, deny, 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 counter accusations, attack, sue, all those things. Okay. Deny, 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 make counter accusations, and then attack. Okay. So stay anchored in the facts, because once cynicism wins, that's when I believe truth really begins to die. Okay? I truly believe that. So stay anchored in the facts. Don't lose sight of the facts there. And I know we're covering a lot of heavy stuff right now. Okay? We're covering some heavy stuff. But I think it's very important. Very important that we do. All right? Okay. We're going to get into another little cover story, thumbnail title story right now. We're going to talk about autism and Tylenol and the whole controversy. What is the connection with autism and Tylenol? We're going to talk a little bit about this controversy right here, because we've heard a lot of things on it. Okay? They heard a lot of things. Let's talk about it. I know I have some experts in the audience in this subject. I appreciate you being here. All right? So it's probably one of the moments you've all been waiting for, the little Tylenol box. What's Ben going to do with this? Let's talk about it. President Trump claims that acetaminophen causes autism. The WHO says no. FDA says maybe. Well, let's talk about this, okay? Because this is a serious thing. And let's talk about some of the traits of autism and why we got to be worried about this. Why we need to be worried about getting more autism, and why you need to be protecting yourself against Tylenol and acetaminophen if it causes autism. Let's take a look here. Because I did a little bit of research, okay? And I think it's important to share this with you guys. Let's see what some of these traits are. Here are some of the horrible traits if somebody gets some autism. Focused interest, intense passion, extreme, strong focus on specific interests. Deep knowledge, their ability to concentrate on a narrow range of topics leads to exceptional expertise. Unique problem-solving skills, creative thinking. Autistic individuals often approach problems from unique angles, allowing for innovative solutions. This is terrible. Horrible. All these things this is terrible. Attention to detail, keen eye for detail can lead to high-quality work. My God, we can't have that. Social interaction styles, selective social engagement. Many autistic individuals prefer close relationships over large social circles. This can lead to deeper, more meaningful connections that support their goals. My God, this is horrible. Direct communication, a straightforward communication style can enhance clarity in professional settings. Wow. Resilience and independence, self-motivation. Autistic inventors and leaders often demonstrate a strong drive to pursue their interests. Ability to work alone. Comfort with solitude allows for uninterrupted focus on projects. God, I probably could have used some of this in school. All right, and it goes on. Adaptation to routines, overcoming adversity, facing and managing challenges associated with autism can foster resilience. Okay, so I don't know about you, but it sounds like we could use some more of that. And then I go on to show you something else here. Let's see some of the people that have had autism. Let's see. Oh, don't want to be like any of these people. That would be terrible. Elon Musk, Einstein, literally Einstein, as I was called in one of the comments, a negative way. Hey, Einstein, someone said to me once. That's nice. But Elon Musk, Einstein, some dude in the back there. I don't know who that is. Is that Macy? Might be a world famous soccer player, Macy. Bill Gates. This is terrible. This would be terrible. This would be absolutely terrible if I could get some traits like them. Okay? God forbid. If autism gave us Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Nikola Tesla, okay, to name a few, Einstein, maybe we need more Tylenol. I'm just saying. Imagine the ad campaign. Tylenol may cause your child to invent quantum AI. Okay. So now, jokes aside, science says that it's correlation, not causation. Occasional Tylenol use, from what I've read and studied, is that use in pregnancy is still considered pretty safe, okay? You make up your own mind. But the bigger point, we stigmatize neurodiversity when some of the greatest inventors and innovators of our time and in history may have been on the spectrum. Maybe the risk isn't Tylenol. Maybe it's our lack of acceptance of difference, okay? So I just want to put that out there, but I could have used a little more of some of those traits that that we'd put right there. Put in the chat what you think, okay? Put in the chat what you think about that. All right? Yeah, God forbid we get any of that stuff, okay? Unbelievable. All right, and now is the time we're going to hear from our sponsors. We have got a fantastic sponsor, and his name is Ben Pappas, Ferocious Optimist, coaching membership and community. And we're going to talk a little bit about that for a minute. I appreciate you guys being here, but I'm going to tell you what. So one of the most important things, I think, to you, to anyone, being able to make a breakthrough in life, being able to get ahead, to face their context, to face, face the facts in front of them and see what life is like and deal with it and make a breakthrough, get unstuck and get ahead, is having an accountability circle, a community of people that support you, that are there for you, okay? It creates like a mastermind for you. We're all available. Everybody is getting after it, trying to make their lives better, and there to support you. And that's what my Ferocious Optimist community offers for you, okay? It's there for you. And also in my Ferocious Optimist coaching community and membership, we have a monthly group coaching call, okay? That goes live the third Friday or Saturday of every month. And if you have to miss that, it's okay, because it offers unlimited replays. You can play it as many times as you want. And on top of that, I also upload the presentation that I teach from. It's very colorful, very cool. Okay, people that are members and have seen it in the audience can tell you about it. All right, and you can play that as many times as you want. You can download it. You can do what you want with it, okay? I don't care. That's great. I provide that for you, okay? And it's awesome because you've got the coaching membership, you've got the coaching session, you've got the community where we do Q&A, there are challenges, okay? I can DM you daily through the platform on the community if you have questions for me, right? And we chat every day. People are in the community supporting each other. Sometimes it's really cool because people in the community will get back to you faster even than I do, okay? I'm in there every day, but so is the community. It's a great group of people. And if you're looking to make a breakthrough in life, you're looking to get ahead, okay, you're here feeling all the stress, you're seeing all these things that are going on that I'm talking about, the war, the economy, okay? You feel like your rights are being, trampled on, whatever it is, okay? You're disgruntled, you're upset, you feel stuck, you feel uncertain, you're not sure about your future. Money concerns are killing you, right? Physical fitness, uncertainty, all these things like that. I'm telling you, don't go it alone. As I said before, one of the most important success habits that I've seen is the people that I've worked with that have had the most success. They don't go it alone. They seek help. They take action, okay? They try to level up their skills, level up their mindset, do everything, get around an accountability circle of positive, supportive people that can help them make a breakthrough and get ahead, okay? And so the thing is this, I have people that are entrepreneurs in there. I have career professionals. I have people that are artistic and creative, but they're all very kind and inclusive and supportive. And it's like a little, it's like the Shire in there, right? It's like Narnia in there. It's very positive, supportive, inclusive. Yes, I'm a Marine. Yes, I'm a hard charger. Yes, I'll talk, pretty hard and motivating, all stuff like that. But when we're in there, we're all on the team together and we're all trying to lift each other up, right? So you always know you have a place to go, and you've got your coaching session that's going to come every month. And the coaching session lasts for about 2 hours, okay? I teach for about an hour and 15 minutes, really, really very highly effective tools, techniques, and strategies that I've used for years now with my one-on-one coaching clients that I know get results, okay? And I put that in there for you. And then I stay after and we talk for about 45 minutes in a private Zoom call afterwards as well too. The whole thing is a private Zoom call, all right? A members only Zoom call. And so we're all on there together, talking, interacting, and I'm answering your questions. And the thing is, a lot of the times you're going to learn more from someone else's questions because you may have a similar aspect or question or issue going on in your life that you didn't think to ask or didn't want to ask or didn't even think about at the time. But then you can replay that as many times as you want, okay? So again, if you don't have that positive, supportive community around you, I've got one for you. If you're feeling nervous about your future, you don't have a plan, you don't even know where to begin, you're feeling overwhelmed, okay? You have stress, it's health and fitness stuff, it's money stuff, whatever it is, join this coaching community. You won't be disappointed, okay? And here's the thing, it's risk-free. You can join for a month and you can leave. You don't have to stay, okay? Join for a month, try it out. I don't tie you into anything where it's like, oh, you signed up for a year, now you pay me for a year. Nope, okay? You can pay for a full year if you want up front. You can pay month to month. I've got other options as well too. It doesn't cost you anything to go in my bio on Instagram, okay, or my bio on YouTube. Click in the bio on YouTube. Go to the coaching membership and community, okay? You're going to see a link for it. You'll see it in every one of my videos in the description. The link is there as well too, among a bunch of other links as well. My merchandise link, all the stuff. If you want to get my shirts, Warrior shirts, mugs, all those things like that. But the coaching membership, okay, is fantastic. And I built this for people after so many years of demand asking me, Ben, when are you going to open this up into a group for other people? You do one-on-one coaching. Okay, I've coached some very, very successful entrepreneurs, very successful business people, leaders in many walks of life. Okay, I've even coached celebrities as well too. All right, and I don't disclose any of my clients. It's just not what I do. Right, so it's all confidential. But people that knew that's what I did were asking me, when are you gonna do something for everybody else? And so I built this year. It's there for you. Please check it out. It costs you nothing to check it out. Click on it, look at it, check it out, learn about it. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram. I wish YouTube had the feature. They don't, that I know of. You can DM me on Instagram. You can DM me on LinkedIn. DM me on Facebook, on Messenger, wherever. Okay. And we can talk. Instagram is probably the easiest one to do, or just, put a comment in my YouTube. Okay. Put a comment in the comments here and this video, and we can link up and on DMs and Instagram, and we talk about it, what your questions are. Okay. Which reminds me, if you haven't hit the like button yet, hit the like button, and please make sure you share this if anybody you think it'll be useful for, and comment as well too. And we're going to get into a couple questions right now, and then we're going to jump into the rest of our program because we got some fun stuff coming. I'll tell you that much. All right. Definitely have some fun stuff coming. Okay. Let me see. I know I had one. Daryl, what are your thoughts on the emerging war in Venezuela with Russia, China, and Iran reportedly partnering with Venezuela? How do you think this situation will unfold? Okay. So the biggest thing is this. The main event for me is Russia and NATO. Okay. And closely behind that, a video I didn't play for you guys, is that President Zelensky said it very well in the UN today, or yesterday. And he said, I believe it was yesterday or Tuesday. And he said, there's a very powerful country in the room right now, and that's China. But Russia would be nothing right now without China. China could end this war right now if it decided to, but it hasn't done it yet. So he was basically pleading with China to cut off Russia, because right now China is funding Russia's war. Why? Because it's in their interest. Because if the U.S. gets embroiled in something with Russia, right, it can do what it wants with Taiwan. We've talked about this before in my lives. We talked about it before on the Sunday lives, the Thursday lives, okay? But I think that's a big thing. Iran, I think Iran is definitely someone to consider, but I would consider Russia number one because they're the craziest people on the block with nuclear weapons, most nuclear weapons of anyone. You got to deal with it. You got to admit that you have to deal with it. China number two. Iran definitely has its own brand of crazy. You got to be concerned about them, but I think that I don't know. That might be a distractor. Again, another large distraction to bleed away resources and make us not be able to just focus on Russia in Ukraine, or not be able to focus on China and Taiwan, not be able to focus on China taking territory and, building islands in the South China Sea, okay? Which we don't even want to call the South China Sea. But all these things like that are things that we have to consider. So I think it's probably a cost-imposing strategy and a distraction-imposing strategy on the part of Russia and China, and Iran's just a little sidekick along the way. But the more they can have something in our backyard that distracts us, the better off they are, okay? How do I see it unfolding? I don't see it becoming that much of anything, just a distraction and to bleed off resources, bleed off time, energy, leadership capital. Because at some point, if you can really distract leaders of a country, right? They're human beings. This isn't the AI just yet, right? If it were the AI, I think they'd be in trouble. But it's a way to bleed off resources, time, money, all the stuff like that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hopefully that answered your question for you. Let's see what other questions we have here. Guys, rewrite the question again if I didn't see it. Yeah, alarming amount of deception going on. Yes, there is. Okay. I'm a machine. Ben asked for your firstborn in 711. 7-Eleven. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Phoenix, I've looked at your coaching options, Ben. I haven't decided what's right for me. I'm retired, self-employed. I'm not hard charging into the world, but okay. Yeah. I mean, check it out. Phoenix, just DM me on Instagram and we'll talk. Okay. Just like anybody else, DM me on Instagram if you have questions about my coaching. If you don't have Instagram, I think everybody probably does, but if you don't, hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on LinkedIn. Okay. I'm all over those places. Okay. Phoenix, and I'd love to talk to you about it. And definitely my coaching membership is fantastic. I do have one-on-one coaching options. If you're in the membership, you also have some offers, some special offers for one-on-one coaching with me as well too. Otherwise, I do have, I have my kind of platinum level one-on-one coaching clients as well too, that I work, I work with and I'm in constant contact with to help make that positive, lasting change in their lives. I do retreats, immersion programs, lots of different things as well too. That's the whole world of Ben we can talk about. But again, just DM me if you have any questions, okay? Guys, any other questions before I jump into the next segment here? Any other questions that I missed? Anybody knows of a question I missed, just tell me. Okay. And I'll be around afterwards too. We can talk. Okay. There we go. Phoenix, I see this. I was just talking about this today with a friend. We're both afraid to express our options, our opinions and feelings because we're afraid the other side will burn our houses down. Literally. 100%. It's scary, right? It's scary. Recently, I got to tell you guys this. All right. Totally ad-libbing improv right now. So check out one of my shorts on Russia and Putin on YouTube, okay? I had a Russian gentleman, I believe, comment on it. And if you're listening right now, we're just all in the spirit of good fun right now, okay? You can think whatever you want. But he commented, he said, do you even know how this started? Now, that's a great question. But he wrote this. Do you even know how this started? You retired? He said, you retired. So I thought, what does he mean? What can he mean? Do you even know how this started? You retired. I thought, well, yes, I am retired, actually, dear sir. Yes, my friend, I am retired, actually, from the military. I'm retired. But I don't think he meant that. Based upon the context and his ire, his anger, I think he meant to say, a la Borat, right? I think he meant to say, just like Borat. Let me see if I can find a Borat clip really fast, because I think it's very good for us right now to look at this. I think he was trying to do something more like this. And I want to show you guys. He said, do you even know how this started? Do you even know how this started? You retired. I think what he meant, though, was more like this. And just check out this clip really fast, because I think this is what he was trying to say. I think so. I don't know everything, but I know a couple things. And I'm guessing.
Should I pay interest in people's around the table sides?
Yes. And if it is a big table, a very long table, you might want to restrict your conversation
Yes.
to people right in your vicinity.
Very nice.
So you
Okay, so that's not exactly it. But this is I think this is it.
I have spent years in construction. I'm recently retired.
You are retired?
Yes. And now,
Physical or mental?
retired. No, not retired. I don't work anymore. Stopped working.
It's a very good you allow a retired to eat with you in the same place.
That's
I think this guy was trying to say, you retard. This is what I think. I think he was trying to say, do you even know how it started, you retard? And so he wrote, do you even know how this started, you retired? And so I wrote to him, I waited a day, and actually someone else jumped in the comments, it was hilarious, and wrote, he said, do you even know how this started? And that person jumped in and said, yes, 40 million years ago, the Earth's surface cooled, and ... So super funny. And then I jumped in the next day and I said, oh, I think I owe him an explanation. I said, sir, thank you for your comment. As you have noted, I am retired from the military. But more likely, perhaps, I think you were trying to say, in quotes, you retard. And I said, so thank you for bringing Borat to life for me. And won't you know it, the next day, I swear to God, the next day, this guy comes back in the comments. He gives me thumbs up. I get a thumbs up that, yes, I was trying to call you retard. That's actually what I was trying to say. He doesn't say that, but he just gives me thumbs up. Like, yeah, that's it. You retard. And then he explains to me, because I told him when he said, do you even know how this started? I said, please tell me. That's what I wrote. That's all I wrote at first. That was the first response, okay? And then all this other stuff happened. But he came back the next day and said, and he made a long, lengthy explanation. And all I wrote after that was, thank you for clarifying. So I get to share with you guys my subtle little humor, my Borat moment, because it was absolutely hilarious. He was trying to call me a retard and said, you retired. And I thought, oh my God, this is like a real thing. Here's Borat. So I got to have my real life Borat moment. But now we're going to return back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I went off script there for a couple minutes, but we're getting back into it right now. All right. So let's talk about really quickly. We're going to talk about some life hacks. Okay. I got to talk about this with you guys. Okay. Because again, the whole purpose of the channel is to create positive, lasting change in your life. Okay. That's my whole point. My whole point in my life, my mission right now is to be an inspirational leader to create positive, lasting change in the lives of others. Okay. In my followers, in my subscribers, in my clients, in my family, in my friends, in my community, in my state, my country, in myself, obviously in the world, if I can be so bold. All right. And I'm going to tell you, the number one thing you got to do is you got to work on your physical fitness. You got to do it. Some of you in the audience, I know right now, do not need to do it. Okay. You're already doing it like crazy, but you got to work on your physical fitness. Okay. So if I can leave you with anything tonight for a life hack, I thought about it. I was getting all fancy with all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? This is all fancy. Get up and move. Get up and move. Plan your meals. Know what you're going to eat. Don't eat processed meats. Okay. Cut out the alcohol or cut it down. All right. Or cut it out. Cut out the refined sugar or cut it way down. Okay. Cancer loves alcohol. Cancer loves sugar. There's so many things we're finding that our habits of movement or not movement, our habits of what we put into our body, all will impact our cognitive abilities, how long you stay sharp for, how long you stay mobile for, how long you stay healthy for, how long you look young for, all these things like that, okay? So please, 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 as I joke around and I say all these things like, you know, I need a little more Tylenol because I could use some of that right there. Or, you know, I talk about Borat and all these things like that, no kidding, a true story. You got to work on your physical fitness. If you take nothing away from tonight, get up and move tomorrow. It will make your life better. It will improve every aspect of your life, okay? I was watching this thing, okay, from a couple different billionaires, and it was something I watched from Tony Robbins, then something from like Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank and someone else, and almost all of them, and Tony coaches these people too, right? Tony's actually one of my teachers as well too for my coaching and what I do. To a man or woman, what they said is they dedicate a time block. I was going to say a significant portion of their day. I don't think that's true. They dedicate a block of time every day as early as they can, preferably in the morning. But if they can't, as early as they can, and maybe that's after work for you, that's fine too, to physical fitness, to wellness, to de-stress, for emotional fitness as well too, and spending time in key relationships, okay? I don't care if it's an hour for all those things, but they block off time every day to do it. And you could say, oh, it's easier for you to say, you're a billionaire, you got time, okay? Bullshit. They weren't always billionaires. This is something they had a habit that led them to become billionaires. They took care of their health and their fitness and their key relationships, okay? To have mental clarity. So please, please, please do that. So, so important. Okay, and every time I do one of these Thursday lives, I always include some life tips, health hacks, life hacks, longevity, wellness, financial hacks, okay, strategy, planning, mindset tips. I include all these things like that, okay? And if you like this, again, jump into my coaching membership, my coaching community. You're going to love it. We do this stuff all the time, all right? And the next is sleep and longevity. So how do you protect your energy? The number one weapon you have is your sleep. I'm going to tell you, please listen to me, guys. If you're feeling anxiety, okay, if you're feeling like you're going through something right now and you're so damn nervous, you have so much anxiety, you don't know what to do, okay, you're feeling like you don't know how it's going to work out. You know, it's financial stress, relationship stress, maybe you got a health scare, all right? Please just know that protecting your sleep is the thing that's going to help you turn it around. It's going to help you make a comeback. It's going to help you heal. It's going to help you make a turnaround, okay? It's going to help you dig out of the hole. It's going to help you do so many things. So protect your sleep, please. Have a sleep routine. Go to bed the same time every night. Wake up the same time if you can, somewhere right around there. Don't drink alcohol 2 hours before bed. Don't have caffeine like 6 hours before bed, okay? You know, or as far out as you can. You got to protect your sleep, guys. Make it a habit. Research these things. And again, if you want to go really deep dive into it, join my coaching community. Join my coaching membership. We deep dive things about sleep, about ending stress, reducing stress, deep breathing, meditation, all these different things like that we cover as well too, okay? So again, I'm going to keep it really simple with the life hacks today, but these are the big ones. Get up and move and work out. Watch what you're putting into your body. Hydrate, breathe, sleep, the basics. Don't overeat. Calories in, calories out, right? Calorie reduction. If you want to lose weight, that's your number one concern. If you want to build muscle, add more protein and cut down on, sugar. Move your body, all these things like that. But you got to get serious about your health and fitness. You got to get serious about your sleep too. That helps with brain repair, prevent dementia, cognitive decline later in life. Okay, you're not there yet. You're 30s, you're in your 20s, all right? You're not thinking about it. Your mental performance, your performance that will help you to make more money and be a leader at work depends upon how much you sleep. Don't do all these late nights, this crap, and this bullshit where people are sleeping 2 hours a night. You hear this, a super entrepreneur, I slept 2 hours a night for like a week. You hear Elon Musk say things like that. Turns out he's a special cat in a number of ways, right? And maybe that worked for a little while, but I'm going to tell you, your body will break down. Protect your sleep, okay? All right. That's my big thing right now for fitness and health, physically. Finance hacks we're going to talk about for a quick 2 minutes. I talk about this every week. We're going to talk about it for just a quick 2 or 3 minutes because we had a big program tonight on deception, disinformation, Putin and NATO, the war, and then autism and Tylenol. Okay, so we had a couple extra little segments tonight. Remember this, okay? Track your expenses. Have a budget and follow it. If you don't know what your spending is versus your income, please make a budget. Use ChatGPT. It's really easy. Tell it to act like a top financial planner. Talk to it and to help you make a budget. It'll start asking you questions, okay? Scrub your credit card bill. Scrub your expense sheet, okay? All the freaking basics. They'll save you. Basics. Automate your savings. Use the 80-20 rule. Use the 95-5 rule, right? If you don't know what that is, again, join my coaching membership. I'll teach you. But the 95-5 rule is about there are 5% of people that focus, okay, 95% of the people major in minor things, okay? 95% of people focus and get distracted on things that don't really matter that much. 5% of the most successful people focus on the things that move the ball down the field, okay? And there's the 80-20 rule as well, too, okay? 80-20 rule states that 20% of our actions give us 80% of our results. This is written, it's called the Pareto principle. It's written by an Italian, let's say an Italian writer that was in the Renaissance time frame who saw that 20% of the people owned 80% of all the land. It was about land rights and things like that, okay? But it's the same thing. He noticed, though, therefore, that basically his summary was 20% of actions give us 80% of our results, okay? And so this is true for your life. Look at what the 20% of the things are and do them. One of them is savings, okay? And spending, basics. If you need more income, get a side hustle. Find a way to make more money until you have investable income or until you have a way to pay down your debt. Get out of debt. Get rid of the recurring payments as much as possible, okay? Again, a quick snapshot. You can do it. Check out Dave Ramsey. I think he's great. You know me, what I think about Bitcoin and what I think about cryptocurrency. I think it's the way of the future. It's a technology. I think it's the way of the future, okay? But number one thing, you got to get a budget. Number two thing is you got to crush your debt, okay? Stop buying stupid things. Number three thing is you got to start investing, okay? And create an emergency fund for yourself. And once you do all that, check out the Bitcoin, okay? You're ready to start investing. And you can start buying some Bitcoin right now. You can go on Coinbase or anywhere else and buy small incremental bits of it. All you really need is 0.1 Bitcoin. That'll make a huge difference. Because then again, like I've told you guys before, according to a lot of big investors out there and what I think by 2030, Bitcoin's going to hit $1 million. Okay. So if you have 0.1 Bitcoin now, it's going to go to 100,000. It could go up to 1.5 million. Okay. It could be a total game changer for you. All right. Remember, your health, your wealth, your mindset, it's all the same game. Prepare your body. Okay. If your bills are piling up, prepare your budget. You got to do it. You got to face the facts, face the music with your budget, right? Face it, attack it, make more money, get a side hustle, okay? Don't be afraid to have a little side hustle, make some extra cash. Figure a way out to do it. You can do it. You can do it. Just don't sit around and do nothing. Don't sit around and do nothing. It's not an option right now. The economy's not good. It's not good, okay? I have it on good authority that it's not good. And the best authority I have is from you guys, what you're experiencing, all right? We're seeing that. You want freedom? Build a side hustle. Increase your income. Decrease your expenditures. All right? Let compounding do the heavy lifting for you when you start investing. That's ferocious optimism in action. Work out. Get fit. Stop eating crap. Stop poisoning yourself with all the bull crap. Okay? Get on a budget. Watch your money. Cut down your debt. Make more money. Invest. And go get yours, basically. Okay? That's how it's going to go. All right. Now we have come to the moment which you are all waiting for. You know what moment that is? Put it in the chat if you know what moment it is. Put it in the chat if you know what time it is right now. All right? I know. Let's go, Brandon. If you missed the segment of what Jasmine's talking about, the guy in the comments who told me you retired, and he meant to call me a retard. Unbelievable, right? But if you know what time it is, put it in the chat. It is time, I'll tell you. It is time for South Park, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right to it. Let's get right to our first leadership lesson of South Park. I don't even know what the clip is because I've already forgotten. what the clip is. So I'm going to get ambushed and get surprised just like everybody else. And I'm nervous, actually, for what did Ben come up with. What did I come up with? Let's see. Here we go. This is one of my all-time favorites. I hope you have seen this one, or maybe not. Here we go. Ready?
That there's a Rocky Mountain black bear, one of the few remaining of its kind. Isn't it beautiful? My God, it's coming right for us! Hey, it wasn't coming right for us. It was just sitting there. Shh, not so loud. Now that there's just a technicality. What do you mean? You see?
That's one of my all-time favorites. I had Aaron put it on in the war room one time. They're coming right for us, okay? So talk about using a loophole and not, meeting the intention of the law and not meeting the, finding the letter of the law, finding a loophole, right? To do what you want to do. That's it right there in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell. Poor little bear he killed, okay? Coming right for us. So you have to be able to say the whole point of the episode is that it's like finding these loopholes and, not following what the intention is and skirting around the law and skirting around what's really the spirit of the law is and what the spirit of the rule is. Okay. So, it's coming right for us. Right. So they kill this little bear. The kids are like, what? That wasn't coming right for us. He was just sitting there. Cause they go on to launch like an RPG at a deer and all these different things. And yet all you have to do is say it's coming right for us. Otherwise, hunting is not allowed unless it's for self-defense. So it's got to be it's coming right for us. So you got to think, where do you see the it's coming right for us put into life for you right now, right? Where are we seeing this? Okay? It's coming right for us. I don't know. I mean, well, you're... It's coming right for us. Yes, Jill, I don't remember that one. That's my selective memory and my compartmentalization taking over. But yep, Miller Time, Hack the Planet, all this stuff. But I think yeah, where else are we seeing this? Where else are we seeing the it's coming right for us, kind of idea? I don't know. Put it in the chat if you can think of some things. I can think of a couple things. Okay? Where, we can do something if we say it's an absolute necessity. Okay? Like I'll tell you coming right for us sometimes. I thought about, people that were claiming during COVID, people that were claiming they needed government help. They needed government help and a government handout, a bailout during COVID because of business. I don't know. There are a lot of people doing that, and a lot of companies doing it, a lot of corporations doing it. Did they need it? Did they not need it? I don't know. But it was coming right for us. So it was coming right for you. COVID was. So you can shoot it. So you can get the bailout. Okay? Yeah, there's some of that goes on, isn't there? There's a little bit of that goes on. It's coming right for us. So... all right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and check out this next clip. This next clip, I don't even know what this one is either. I've forgotten already because I got like 1,000 of these things open. Let's see. Oh, I think this is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be a very nice one. Oh no, what the hell's happening here? What is this?
Will the head of the FCC be okay, Doctor?
His bones are healing, so he may regain full range of motion, but if the toxoplasmosis parasite gets to his brain, I'm afraid he may lose his freedom of speech.
Oh.
We'll do everything we can.
I can't even look at that anymore. Oh my God. What in the hell? I can't even look at that anymore. It's too crazy. This whole thing, how they brought back Fantasy Island on South Park. Oh my God. All right. So that's supposed to be the FCC chairman, and he's getting so hard. If he doesn't heal from the toxicity from basically some bad stuff that went into him, he's going to lose his freedom of speech. So once more, South Park bringing it right back home with some great satire. Okay. Too dang funny. But yeah, I mean, if you're not careful, You lose your freedom of speech. You say something someone doesn't like, I might lose my freedom of speech if they decide to shut me down on here. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'm very tame. I'm very tame. I think I'm very tame on here, but I got to say what I got to say, right? I got to say what I got to say. And I think it's funny. Okay. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. So is that the place for the FCC to go ahead and shut down speech like that? Like, I mean, FCC is in charge of the airways, and the American people own the airways, according to the FCC, according to the arguments I've heard. The FCC is in charge of protecting the airways for the American people. Well, if all these people love hearing a certain comedian, you better protect the American people. Their ears are so, their virgin ears from the hilarity and comedy of this comedian. That's real American service right there. So anyway, but I mean, if we're not careful, I think the point is that he's going to lose his freedom of speech. Someone's going to shut him down, right? And so through the satire, I always find there are a lot of lessons. They move at things in a way that, we don't always talk directly about. But, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. There's a lot of, hard topics out there. The Jimmy Kimmel getting shut down, never really been a big fan of Jimmy Kimmel. Didn't agree with anything he said about what he said. Okay, he was wrong. He was wrong about that. But still, right, shutting him down and shutting down a whole news network, like what the hell's going on? This is not the place for that. That's not what we do. I mean, we're Americans, right? So, and one time I was in a big meeting once, and I heard this one guy talking about Americans, we love like Luke Skywalker fighting against the Death Star, and like we love like, cowboys and rebels, and, we were the ones who stood up to the British Empire and all stuff like that. And the guy looked around the room, and I was in a Special Operations Command conference getting ready for a conflict that I will not be named. And he was a civilian guy. He goes, yeah, America loves Luke Skywalker and the rebels. And I look around this room, I see you guys, and you guys are the Empire. You guys are the stormtroopers. You guys are... And I thought, wow, I don't think anybody had ever really thought that way before. Okay. So before we go that way, we got to think it through a little bit, right? And I've said it before too. Everybody's human. Everyone makes mistakes. And, President Trump is who he is. He gets fired up and he's got a lot going on. I've said it last week. He just had a very close friend of his killed. So it's hard to say he's not going to be calm. And he's got Putin here. He's got, assassinations there. An assassination attempt against him. You can never, measure how much that's going to affect you. However, we need to calm things down. We need to protect our freedom of speech because that's what makes America, America. It's so important, okay? To be able to speak and criticize and say things the way they are. And again, like I said, we get a better product, I think, that way. We represent more people that way, and I think we also check us from doing big mistakes that way, So I think that's what makes us strong. So I think that's why it's so important to consider some of these things. Okay. And once more, South Park leads the way. Thank you, Jill. Protect my freedom. All right. Now we got a couple more things to talk about here. South Park was helping us talk about some funny stuff, like it's the loopholes and freedom of speech. But there's some crazy news out there, and I got some funny little crazy news tidbits for you guys because we talked a lot about a lot of heavy stuff tonight, and you're going to be rewarded with a lot of nonsense and absurdity, and I'm here to deliver it for you, and I'm all about it, okay? And yes, in my coaching community and coaching membership, we have a great time as well, too. A lot of fun, a lot of laughs. So please, if you're interested, come on in there as well, too. And if any members are in the audience, and I see you out there, like freaking Mr. Rogers, I see so-and-so, and I see so-and-so, okay? I see you out there. If you missed the last live in the coaching membership, play the replay, and you'll be in the next one, and we'll have a great time. Jasmine, just saying. Okay, let's go on to this next one. Crazy, wacky news. Yes, I never thought as a Marine Lieutenant Colonel I'd be talking about craziest, wackiest news with you guys in front of a live audience, but that's what I'm doing. This is what it's come down to. Okay? So if the big war comes, I'm ready. Send me back out. Coach, I'm ready. I'm ready to strap up. I'm over here talking about South Park. on YouTube live. Okay. So when Marsak's ready for me to come back, I'm ready. Let's go. Just joking. I love what I do. Love all you guys. And I appreciate all of you being here. Let me do what I do. This is fun. All right, let's go. Here we go. More nonsense. Let's see what kind of craziness I found for you guys tonight. Lots of funny stuff. I'm going to begin with, let's see. I'm going to begin with, where is this? Here we go. We're going to begin with this one. Crazy, wackiest news. Check this out. This is actually nuts.
In Chengdu, China, a man on an electric scooter crashed into a temporary traffic light, and his head became trapped inside the structure. The impact caused the metal frame to clamp around him, and he was unable to free himself. Rescuers were called to the scene, and the operation to carefully cut the metal and release the man took nearly 40 minutes. Fortunately, he did not sustain any serious injuries. After being examined at the hospital, his condition was reported as stable. In Chengdu...
What? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You're driving your little scooter and you smash into something, and you smash into this light, and next thing you know, you're stuck in there. Can you even imagine this? This is nuttiness, okay? But what's even nuttier is this next one. You guys got to see this, okay? Did you know there was an end of the world predicted in South Africa? Okay, the rapture was coming, big promotion on this thing, and people bought into it, and they traveled up this mountainside and believed the end of the world was coming, or whatever the hell it means. Okay. So let's tune into this guy. People will believe stuff. Just remember that. Just because a lot of people believe in it, or a person, doesn't mean it's right, and doesn't mean it's real. Okay. A stadium full of people all getting excited, woo, doesn't mean anything, except when it's my Buffalo Bills, damn it. When it's the Buffalo Bills playing, it means exactly what the hell you think it means. The Bills are winning. They're going to the Super Bowl. This is it. This is the year. Make no mistake. Okay. So except for that, it doesn't mean anything. So let's see. Let's see what the hell we just found out. I got to play this clip for you guys. Don't be fooled by mass hysteria. This is my lesson for you with this one. Check this sucker out. Ay, ay, ay.
Plenty, they went for rapture. They were waiting.
All right, he just said they went for rapture and they were waiting. Okay, here we go.
Watch the video.
This is them waiting for the big event. They're all cheering and screaming. Okay, these are like tens of thousands of people in Africa. And they think they're going to see something happening. I don't know if it's an eclipse or what. But there's something happening, right? And I'm gonna scroll forward a little bit because they really start going nuts.
The ones we carry back, they had to go back home. Here's the video.
Okay, this is them climbing a mountain. They all climbed a mountain. Tens of thousands of people to go to this rapture. Okay? They thought it was the end of the world. So then, and again, I don't know what the hell they thought was going to happen. You guys tell me in the comments there the rapture was supposed to happen there. Maybe I should know that. I just don't off the top of my head. But I think they're all supposed to die and go to heaven. That's what I think. That's what I actually think. But I'm not an expert in it. Okay. And so these people all went up there and went nuts. And he basically tells them, he goes out and tells them, he's like, you guys, they weren't all naked. That's why it didn't work. Okay, this is what the I think the pastor who convinced them said, next time we go, we all have to be naked. Okay, this is when we start getting into some really wacky cult stuff. But just remember, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Okay, if it's too good to be true, too sensational, it probably is. All right, check the facts. Like I said before, ask for proof, ask for receipts, and figure out what's going on. All right, I got one more for you guys. One more fun one. And you guys, or maybe even some more, but I got some more here for you. And you guys who have stayed the longest will be rewarded. Those who have stayed to the end, you are rewarded with the ultimate clip. Okay? And here we go. Check this out.
One man's conference call on Zoom got a lot more exciting when an unexpected visitor came into his office.
Purposes of, town hall.
It's actually
let's just get in to let's just get in via like.
Robin, I'm crying. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a squirrel jumping onto the desk after getting oh my gosh. Okay, so you saw he had the bat ready. Apparently, this is not the first time this has happened. Other TikTok videos show the squirrel scaring the man at his front door. Rob, just take it.
I can't help it. Oh my God. So that's what it's come down to. That's what it's come down to for me, everybody. Is this is where life is taking me right now. I'm talking about squirrels attacking people. I'm talking about squirrels attacking people in a live show. This is where life has gone for Ben. Oh my God. But it's hilarious. What would you do? I might. Awesome. I might freak out. I don't know. I don't think I'd freak out like that. I think that's a rabid squirrel, though. You see the way that thing flew? It was like a friggin' Tomahawk missile. That is not a farm boy. You're right, Phoenix. That is not a farm boy. Okay? Yep. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. That's right, Paul. Exactly. But it is nuts, right? Absolutely nuts that this squirrel, I can't believe it. I'm still laughing. Then it kept going on and on. They said it's actually not the first time that it's happened, okay? All right, everybody. So what do we have to learn from tonight? What do we learn? So we learned a lot of stuff. Tonight we covered it all. We covered free speech. We covered the economy. We covered Russia and NATO. We covered disinformation, the Epstein files and statues, and KGB propaganda, demoralization of our country, comedy, headlines, satire, Tylenol, autism, health hacks, life hacks, finance hacks, South Park, and crazy news like an attacking squirrel, okay? But here's the deal. The world is noisy. It is chaotic, and it's full of distractions. There are UAPs, there are hearings, there are pageantry, there's even golden statues being planted on the mall, okay? All designed to pull our eyes off the ball. That rhymed. I didn't mean it to rhyme, but that rhymed. I'm proud of myself. But the real power isn't in spectacle. It's in demanding receipts. It's in demanding proof. Don't go heading up the mountain looking for the rapture and then being told it didn't work because we didn't pull our clothes off. Now pull your clothes off. Okay? And only the ladies stay. All right, by some crazy pastor. All right? Demand the proof. Demand receipts. Don't get fooled by the spectacle. Because the most dangerous thing, as I said before, isn't flying missiles. It's truth dying. And if we let deception and distraction replace the evidence, then free speech becomes weaponized and trust collapses. This is the big thing. Okay? So my call to you tonight is to live, laugh, hack your health and finances, but never stop demanding the documents and the receipts and the proof. Okay? Even when they're big distractions, even despite the distractions. In fact, while they have the distractions. All right? That's how we keep truth alive and how you can continue taking accurate and effective action. All right? And making sure you get your rights protected in any situation, not just even the politics, not just in government, but in your daily life. All right? So until then, remember, we'll be live again on Sunday at 4 p.m. I had somebody ask me if I'll go a little bit earlier because I guess we have a European audience as well too, which we do. So say hello to all of you from out there. So we might go a little earlier, but right now it's still 4 p.m. Sunday, and I'll be live every Thursday at 8 p.m. I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and letting me do what I love. I appreciate all of your support. It means a lot to me. I've had a lot of fun tonight. So until then, live ferociously, laugh ferociously, and like I always say, go get yours. I'll see you all next time. Okay, I'll stick around for a couple more minutes. keep your ferocious optimism weaponized and optimized. All right. And I'll answer some questions right now in the chat. Remember to go get yours, guys. Let's go. Let's see what we got. Yeah, Ben the Rapper, I was. Right? That was pretty good, wasn't it, Lisa? Hey, thanks, Phoenix. I appreciate it. That was great hanging with you, too. Any questions for me, guys? Okay, what's my opinion on sec war calling every general officer? Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. I saw that, too. I saw that. Really interesting. I think the only thing I can think is that either there's some leaking going on, there's some type of cabal, there's some meetings going on or something that he wasn't privy to. Or the third one, which I think is more likely, is there's a reorganization. I think there's a consolidation and reorganization of the major combatant commands. Okay, I haven't really looked into it, but this is what I'm guessing. If you're going to have every general in one place, which is probably not the smartest thing to do at once, right? I doubt it was every single general because some of them can't be there, okay? If they're running combat operations or, you don't have the NATO general there, I'm sure. Maybe they did. I don't know. Okay, so reorganization's a possibility, and him just to tell them directly and being face-to-face with them, which is actually a good thing. In-person communication is a great thing. So reorganization could be something, right, where they're consolidating, shifting some structures around, shifting some major commands around, and to inform them all of that. Or it could be, hey, we're getting ready for the big push. There's a possibility of World War III. That could be it. Maybe there's some special knowledge he knows, right? Some non-public information that he's sharing. I'm sure some of that went on too. So I think those would be all the reasons for him to get them together. But getting all the generals together means he probably needs some action taken immediately, and the knowledge has to be pretty important. It would either have to be, for me, conflict and war or a major change of doing business that he needs to pass directly and look them in the eyes. Okay? So that's the other thing I can think of. Whoa, all 2 stars and up globally. Okay, interesting. Well, I know you're in the fight over there, Jill, so I believe that. But it's either got to be reorganization or preparing for some type of major operations. Okay, that's what I would say personally. All right? I remember when major combat operations were kicking off, generals were going around talking to everybody about everything. And a lot of, it was like going on the campaign trail, letting everybody know what was going on. But this is unusual, very unusual to summon all of them back to D.C. Yeah, of course. That is public information, what you said, Jill. So if that's the only question I have, guys, again, I'm going to go on, root for my Bills, root for your team, but root for my Bills. Okay. We need it in Buffalo. Believe it or not, domestic violence actually used to go up when the Bills would lose. There's a true report in the news. I don't think it's that way anymore, maybe, but that's very true. So do it for Buffalo. Root for the Bills for Buffalo for the sake of all the people there and for Buffalo to have better life. Again, guys, go out and crush it. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. It's Friday in 2 hours. Awesome. I appreciate you guys spending your time with me tonight, spending your evening with me. Such a pleasure to be with you. Had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. Please hit the like button. Please put a comment in afterwards. Don't forget to comment. It helps out the channel as well too. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And then if there's anything you like about it, share this with people, okay? Share it with your friends. If there's a South Park, if it's a segment you enjoyed, share it. I'm going to create the chapters for every one of these lives. I go back and I create chapters so you can send off a bite-sized portion to somebody, or you can just go back and watch it again. All right. Make yourself better. Make the world better. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. I'll see you all on Sunday and then next Thursday, and go get yours. See y'all next time. Thanks so much, guys. Had so much fun tonight.